Hello, Mzansi. We're back as Hollywoodbets once again brings you another exciting episode of GameON. I am Caesar Mapena in the company of greats today, in the way of Jace Kosana as well as Shane McGregor, with the leagues just about done and dusted. Out in England, we are talking about who's qualified for what competitions, and all the places are done. The league is done and dusted. Same out in Germany, and the South African league just about done and dusted as well. Shane joins me as we firstly discuss England, and interesting that things have ended the way they have in England. Some interesting results that have come through that, of course, saw the scramble for places, Shane, go right to the final day. Exciting when you're thinking up to position 7. We weren't sure outside of the first two positions who would finish where. Exciting way to end the season where there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, good to be here. You know, I've been saying this all along. We're going to see it go to the final whistles, go to the final games. And that's exactly what happened. You know, we saw a tight finish at the end there. Newcastle scraping through into Champions League by a view of goal difference. You know, they got beaten, or they didn't get a result in the last game, but they still qualified just due to their better goal difference. So, yeah, definitely went down to the wire.
Yeah, it certainly did. And, of course, there was sides like Aston Villa that had a lot to play for going into the last game against Manchester United. Watched that game. It wasn't quite the Villa I expected to see. There was, well, they looked as though they were lacking intensity. Yes, penalty and a red card, but still, Villa didn't seem to have the intensity of a side with a lot to play for.
Yeah, I think the red card had a lot to say to do with it. You know, unfortunately for them, it was a silly tackle, and But anyway, that's what happens. These things happen in football. But they fought back and they tried their best. Just wasn't there. Remember, I said to you again early in the season, legs tired. Not big enough squad, and that's where it came with them. You know, they brought players into their squad, but it was just a little bit too late. You know, but anyway, they still qualify. They're still in Europe, which is the main thing. You know, that's the big thing. The big talking point is 6 teams in Champions League next season.
For including Tottenham, of course.
Yeah, because you got the top 5, and then you got Tottenham coming through because they won Europa.
Another game which we felt maybe was the game of the weekend was Nottingham Forest and Chelsea, both with Champions League spots to play for. Forest at home. Chelsea were looking for the strong ending to the season. They got that with the 1-0 win against Forest. An important result for Chelsea. That secures Champions League qualification, whilst for Forest, they just edged out of the Champions League.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, couldn't get their final game. And I thought they'll get the result because Chelsea had the cup final coming up. And, you know, you're always looking at teams like that, players thinking, well, let's not put our foot in there, cup final coming up. But end of the day, they were worthy winners there. Forest just couldn't go through with it. But they still done well. You know, you can't knock them. They were one of the surprise teams of the season. Yeah. They would have been happy finishing where they were now. If you told them beginning of the season, you're going to finish up, they would have been very happy with that. End of the day, just not good enough, but they're still in Europe.
Well, just to round it all up, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle United make up the top 5 spots. Add Tottenham in there, and those are the 6 going, of course, to the Champions League. Villa and Nottingham Forest round up the sides playing in Europe. But just to break it down here in what makes the difference at the end of it all, and goals do make the world go round. When you look at the top 25 goal scorers in England, none of them come from Arsenal.
But that's a big worry, and that's the big difference between football. You look at who the champions were, Liverpool. Who's the top goal scorer? Mo Salah. And he's not a striker as such. I mean, they do play him as an attacking player, foremost. Got the goals for them. Look at Man City. Haaland. You look at and you go all the way down. Where's Arsenal? You got their top goal scorers 9 goals, 11 goals.
9 goals.
I mean,
so no one on double figures at Arsenal.
There's not double figures. Now that just shows you exactly where they are.
It's Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz. Yeah. I mean, come on. And he was injured for a little bit of the season. Okay, so you say fine, but he's not an out-and-out striker. This is the big worry for me with Arsenal. Is they've been playing this false number 9 for far too long. It's not working. It's not working. Surely you can see that as a manager, as a management group, that this is not working. We need to get someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. And I'm saying a striker that's going to get you 20 goals. If they had that, would they be in the position where they are now, or would they be very much closer to Liverpool? I think with a guy that's going to get them 20 goals a season, they will be they will be fighting for the title. But when I say fighting for the title, it'll be a lot closer.
Might even be the difference between Champions League semi-final and getting all the way through to a final as well.
Exactly.
Might even be that difference. Because when you look at, the top goal scorers, we mentioned Salah, 29, Isak, 23, Newcastle have had success in that regard. Haaland, 22, we know it hasn't been a great season for
one of his worst seasons.
Yeah,
but
Pep and his boys.
Haaland's worst seasons.
Yeah, and Pep's as well.
Yeah.
And Pep's as well. But still, 22 goals is good enough to get you into the Champions League spots. Chris Wood is an interesting one for me at Nottingham Forest. The big surprise from New Zealand, 20 goals.
Chris Wood, if you look at, and this is why I say, and I told you in the beginning that this manager is very shrewd, very clever at Forest. He's taken a man like Chris Woods where he was on the fringes of all different clubs. He had left Newcastle, gone here, gone there, and he's brought him into and played to his strengths. And look how many goals he's got. So it just shows you that what a manager can do for a player's career. Whether he can do it next season, I'm not too sure. He might just be a fringe player again, and then you'll have to find another route for goals for them. But for him, he revitalised himself this season. But once again, one of those up there in Europe, up there with the top because of the goals, and that's what's important. You've got to have a man scoring goals for you.
Yeah, well, Cole Palmer on 15, Watkins from Villa on 16. They still qualified and met their objectives. But Arsenal, we have to say, yes, they may have finished higher than those sides, but their objectives are different. They were looking to win.
They were looking to win the league.
They were looking to possibly get into a Champions League final and win that as well.
But that's what I'm saying. They were looking to win the league, looking to win Champions League. But if you're not got that guy that's going to put the ball in the back of the net for you all the time, it makes a big difference. And for me, he's got to look at his system and say, well, we need to change this. If we want to win something, let's change it now.
Arsenal got close to the final of the Champions League. We saw what Tottenham and Manchester United were able to do and get into the final as well out in Europe. For English sides, also, the quest is not only just to do well in England, but also take over Europe here.
Yeah, of course, Are
they looking good? What you've seen this season?
Your first thing is to win the league, and then the next one to Champions League. Yeah. So, you want to be doing your best in that. But as I say, if you're not going to have that prolific goal scorer for you, you're not going to win games. You look at locally, it's the same thing, Sundowns, Pirates have got big guys, goals. Other clubs don't.
Yeah. So there you have it. Goals make the world go round, and they certainly made the English Premier League go around and gave us plenty of excitement, plenty of big surprises. Lovely season. It went down to the wire in the way of the scramble for European places. We certainly look forward to next season. We take a short break, come back and discuss what's happening locally and the drama that's going right down to the wire in the way of who qualifies for a spot in the playoffs at the end of the season.
Wanna bet?
You are on.
Breaking news. Gogo takes a prize challenge to a penalty shootout.
Aziz again.
Let's go.
Brian looks confident here. What? He's completely missed it. Here comes Gogo. And what a kick! She's done it! She's done the impossible! Hollywoodbets, Azisheke, let's play.
Welcome back to Game On. Time now to focus on the beautifully South African game. And we talk about what's happened here in Mzansi and concluding another successful league campaign. I think it's safe to say the Betway Premiership of 24-25, the season on the whole now.
Yes.
How are you, Chit?
Right,
Sure.
It's stress, man, like I am, man.
Yeah?
A lot of things are happening, like I with PSL, and conclusion for me, I would like to take my head off to Richards Bay for qualifying for the top 8.
Yeah,
that's something which nobody would have expected.
Didn't see it coming.
They would be fighting for a relegation, not to go to the promotion, a relegation playoffs. So I think for me now, but to let's go Richards Bay.
Now, ukhumbule ukuthi qualify for the top 8. They were up against SuperSport, home game in SuperSport. Babasha 2-0, and they made the top 8 right in the last game. I mean, still, SuperSport have had their struggles, but considering the SuperSport are looking to avoid, or were looking to avoid the playoff spots, there was a lot to play for both these sides. They did well in Richards Bay.
I mean, you'll always give credit to them. Really, if you just always compare, SuperSport and Richards Bay, you wouldn't even tell yourself to say Richards Bay can come closer to SuperSport. And it's just the opposite of what is happening in this league today. So I think we need to really congratulate Richards Bay for what they've done. But it's so sad for me, for SuperSport, because if you look at most of these teams, there is a player that was developed by SuperSport in those teams. And some of them are winning the championship. Hence, SuperSport on the other side is fighting for a relegation, promotional playoff. It's so sad.
Now, was coming foot in Stellenbosch, Neskukune, that fight for number 3, it was rather interesting, of course, going down to the wire. Stellenbosch throwing a Cape Town City 0-0. Again, Cape Town City needed the result here. It was a big game, this one. But it's Kukune, Bashawa Arrows looking to avoid the playoffs themselves. There were some big games this weekend. But impressive for Arrows, 3-2 win over Skukune, meaning Skukune don't make top 3.
Yeah, so on that one, I really don't know what happened, but to be honest, I would also say it was a good win for Arrows, because if you look at Skukune, they wanted to go back to CAF competition. So for them to lie fourth on the log, yes, it's a good thing to do as a club, but I think for the chairman, I don't think it will be something that is appreciative of, but let's give also credit to them, because they are always there. Last season, they came there through the Cup competition. They had to qualify, but unfortunately this time, Kaizer Chiefs were out of the top 8 are there to represent us in the CAF.
Let's talk about the Chiefs, because yes, they're playing CAF, but there's the disappointment. Yeah, top 8, because that means about MTN 8 come the start of next season. They go into that last game needing a win against Polokwane City. And the teams from Elibobo, they've impressed us this season. Polokwane City, the Skukune. 0-0 the scoreline. Frustration for the Chiefs and their fans, and more so frustration for Unabi. If you listen to the press conference, there's frustration for Unabi.
Kakulu, because if you look at izinto ezenzakala Kaizer Chiefs, they're not something good. Yes, they won the cup, and Maupe History Cup, teams that they've beaten, those are teams that are right there at the top of the log. I mean, Sundowns, Pirates in the final, Stellenbosch. What do you expect of them to be out of the top 8 when they can demolish teams that are right there on top? So I think there are things that they really need to do, a good Chiefs camp, but we cannot denize abalandeli bale bhola to say, do this, do that. Let them see what's best for them, because they do have the capability of winning games.
They certainly do. But when you look at the numbers, the big concern is 28 games played, less than 10 wins in the whole season. It's again another area of improvement from the Kaizer Chiefs, because you expect them to go into double figures, Guma win.
Kakulu. So, you look at these stats as something that you can always say, Makesi, Marumo Kalansi, Richards Bay, but now we're talking about a Tlama team. A Tlama team that you didn't even expect these stats to be with them. So that's why I say Chiefs really need to look at themselves and make sure that they fix the house that they are living in. You cannot just say you've got money, but the house that you are living in is just out of the way. So for me, Chiefs, really, the management must stand up and do something for this club.
And whilst we are talking about what's happening locally, we have to take the time out, of course, to congratulate SuperSport United for avoiding the playoffs. Big ups to the side from Tshwane. And wish Cape Town City the best of luck going into the playoffs. Jerry, when you look at the Cape Town City, what they've done in the existence in the PSL, firstly, did you expect them, with the quality of players they've had, their team, to be at this stage? And what do you think of their season and where it went wrong for Cape Town City?
Yes, first I would love to congratulate SuperSport for surviving that fate of not going to the relegation promotional playoff, but unfortunately for Cape Town City, but I wish them all the best, to go and play in those playoffs against the 2 teams that are coming from the Motsepe Championship. And I just hope Cape Town City comes back, because, it's so touching. People that understand football, they know where I come from as well, because of the history that we have with this team. I mean, what it has done since it came into the PSL. So for South African football, for me to lose one of these teams, which is Cape Town City, it would be so sad. But I'm not always saying Cape Town City must come back. Also, you're looking at these two teams that they will be playing with.
Yeah, they also want to come up.
They also want to come up. But yeah, for me, I wish Cape Town City all the best.
Cape Town, not too long ago, it was Cape Town Spurs. Not too long ago, Vasco da Gama,
Santos,
Cape Town.
These teams.
And so many players in the junior national teams also coming from Cape Town. Cape Town.
The history when I see it, because now sometimes Mabati know uyosebenza Cape Town. So we always want to have all the coastal teams a lot. And you see we've got Durban City coming in, Richards Bay survived, Golden Arrows survived, Amazulu there. It's teams that are coming in. So coastal teams, let's have Cape Town more teams as well, please.
Well, let's do this. Let's just wish all the teams in the playoffs the best of luck. Those that are looking to come up, including those, in this case, Cape Town City, are looking to stay up. We take a short break, we come back, and we discuss what's happening in Germany, looking at the overall picture with Shane McGregor. Welcome back to GameON. Time now to discuss what's been happening out in Germany. And, well, it's all done and dusted there, but we know who's qualified now for the Champions League and so on. We, had it pretty secured in the first two spots between Leverkusen and Munich. Munich, of course, coming out champions. But there was a battle between Frankfurt, Dortmund and Freiburg that went down to the wire, Shane.
Yeah, Bayern was just too good, won the title again, and Leverkusen pushed them all the way. Mm-hmm. For me, worry is Alonso leaving them. I hope they don't become another team that just falls by the wayside because the manager's gone. But anyway, they've done well. But the team that we've got to talk about there is Dortmund. I mean, if you look at them where they were, we were looking at one stage of the season, 11th on the log, thinking, well, they got no chance.
Yeah, by March as well.
Yeah, they got no chance of getting up there. Out of the last 8 games, 24 points.
22 points, from 24,
Out of 24.
Yeah.
So that just shows you momentum, getting form at the right time, where it does and what it does to you and where it takes you.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them for keeping that gain at the end and getting up into that. Mainz is one of the teams where I feel sorry for. I mean, they were up there all the time, just couldn't get there. Just didn't make it. But Frankfurt as well, well done to them.
Yeah, and of course, Mainz didn't make it into the Conference League. I have to ask about Dortmund, though, since we're talking about how well they improved. They've still got the Club World Cup to look forward to. Amongst the best teams in the world will be rubbing shoulders in that tournament from all over the globe. But will that be a bother for a club like Dortmund, or do you think they'll be able to get through that and still have time for pre-season recruitments and start the next season in the right frame of mind, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be much difference for them anyway. They're going to go into play. They're going to have time after that to rest.
Yeah.
The recruitment takes place straight away. As soon as the season finishes, they don't worry about that. They can look for recruitment. They look for what they're going to do for next season. If you look at all the top teams in world football, all they do is they go overseas somewhere and go play friendlies, they go play against teams, Hong Kong, in the Far East, America. Money-making thing, but it's something that they need to do, and that's what they do, So I don't think it'll affect them. They'll have the time to recover. But having said that as well, we've got to congratulate Ardenham for basically going through again, They were in the playoffs. They came up against Augsburg, one of the teams from second division, Alversberg, second division teams. Drew the first leg 2-2 because it's a double leg, and won the second one 2-1. So they stay up in the Bundesliga. Much needed that. If you look at the money that comes with being in the Bundesliga and the top league, big difference.
But once again, the theme with German football, they came the playoffs came with goals and excitement as well. 2-2 and 2-1. Plenty of excitement there for the fans as well.
If you're looking for goals,
Germany is the place to go.
Look at Germany, it's the place to go. There's certain leagues where you can go normal draws and go for draws, but in Germany, there's always goals. It's very far and few between that you get a normal draw.
Yeah. So we have to mention for Mainz, the disappointment of not making the Champions League when you had come so close and you were in the talk of a Champions League spot for so long. To lose it right at the end and maybe take the Conference League means all is not lost, but how much will that hurt for the players, management, or is it something to build towards going forward? Is it inspiration, or is the glass half full or half empty at this point?
No, I think it's half full. If you offered Mainz in the beginning of the season, they would have grabbed it with both hands.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at it that way, the disappointment is they were up there in the Champions League positions and they just couldn't hold on to it. So it's a bit of both. Management will have to work on those players and get their minds right for next season, because that is a little bit of a disappointment. But as I said to you offered them beginning of the season, they would have said, yes, please, we'll take it.
Certainly would have said yes, please. And I mentioned Dortmund a little bit earlier, because keep in mind, after the Club World Cup, they'll be in the same group as Mamelodi Sundowns from right here in Mzansi. So let's talk about what's happening here locally, and Hollywoodbets giving back, as we always do here on GameON. And out in Clement, the township in Durban or eThekwini, there was the Siyakhula Sports News Tournament. Let's find out more about that.
Claremont, a township in KZN, played host to one of the most exciting grassroots tournaments over the Easter weekend, the Siyakhula Sports News Tournament. Born from the passion of founder Jabulani Dlamini, this tournament has been running since the early 90s, dedicated to uncovering hidden gems in local soccer and the arts. Over the years, it's become a powerful launchpad for young talent, producing stars who've gone on to shine beyond the township fields. This year, 32 teams, 16 from Molweni and 16 from Kwangolosi, clashed in an electrifying knockout format with the ultimate goal of being crowned a champion in Hill Press.
Okuyisungula kwethu Siyakhula Sport News siyisungulele ukuthi selekelele umphakathi, selekelele amaqembu esifundazwe sakithi KwaZulu-Natal eNingizimu Afrika yonkana ukuze akwazi ukuzothola abadlali ngale mqhudelwano esiyenzayo.
This initiative is very, very important for South African sport development because Claremont is an integral part of football development in South Africa, because it has produced iconic footballers.
In a country where sports has the power to unite, heal and inspire, tournaments like Siyakhula play a vital role in developing the next generation of South African athletes. They bring communities together, create opportunity, and give young players a chance to be seen. After days of intense competition, Claremont Stars and Two for Joy battled it out.
Hollywood wenze umsebenzi wabalula ukukwazi ukungilekelela ngenze i-tournament efana nale. Ngiyafisa kakhulu ukuyithoba ngimbo uNkulunkulu kakhulu ngenkampani efana nale Hollywood uma ikwazi ukuya emphakathini iya kuma-organization afana nawethu.
The final match came down to the wire, a tense penalty shootout that had the crowd holding its breath. In the end, it was Two for Joy Football Club who triumphed, showing nerves of steel and championship quality.
Football supporters have came in their numbers, and we've seen young talented footballers, which gives me a huge confidence that in the next 2 years or in the next 6 months we might see some of these boys that are participating in today's tournament turning professionals.
Siyabonga kakhulu, like sengishilo kwama-sponsors akhona Hollywoodbets, siyabonga kakhulu. Ngathi ungaqhubeka futhi lokhu kwenzile ukuqoqa intsha emalokishini, mhlampe nabanye bakwazi ukubona amathalente bengagcina bevela mhlampe ku-TV abanye ngayo le tournament.
Engakusho nje ukuthi i-tournament ibinhle kakhulu. Siyathanda ukuthi engathi sengaphinde iphinde ibuye, siphatheke kahle indlela i-tournament ebihlele ngayo. Siyafisa engathi ngaqhubeka inyuke futhi ephambili.
Nice to see Hollywoodbets giving back to the community out in Claremont, and of course we'd like to thank them and thank the legends, Shane McGregor as well as Jerry Skosana, for their time here today. We'd like to thank you at home for joining us for yet another exciting episode of Game On. From myself, Caesar Mapena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. Until next week, click, click, bang.